On This Week in One Big Thing in Livestock Markets, we're going to take a little preview look at USDA's cattle inventory report that's due to be released on January 31st. This is one of the reports that I think a lot of us look forward to because it really gives us a look at cattle numbers, beef cow numbers, where we are in a cattle cycle, expansion and contraction, and a host of data items like that. So let's take a look with my pre-report estimates and we'll see where we go. I like to look at in the report really the beef cow inventory. I think of the beef cows as really being the productive engine of everything else. So more so than the total cattle numbers, I really like to get to the beef cow numbers and see where we are. I think, as everybody knows, we've been expanding cow numbers really since some recovery from the drought in the southern plains, Texas and Oklahoma, that forced cattle numbers to their fewest in decades. We've been growing due to that and due to profitable prices. I think a big question on everybody's mind is, as prices have started coming down, how's that changing the cow numbers? So as I look at inventory, we've been going up in cow numbers since 2014. Last year, reflected in the January 2016 cattle inventory report, we had 3.5% more beef cows, which is really historically a rapid rate of growth in terms of the cow herd. This report's going to tell us what happened during 2016. I expect this report to show that the cow herd, the beef cow herd, grew somewhere around 2%. So really, I think it's going to show that we continued to grow cow numbers and cattle numbers in the U.S. over the last year. There might be some people who expect that, gosh, with lower calf prices, lower cattle prices, we ought to be contracting. Yet I think there's some things already baked into the cake, if you will, that tell us where the number's going. If we're going to change cow numbers, there's a couple of things that have to happen. One is we've got to cull or market, sell more old cows, and we've got to slow the rate of growth of new cows or heifers entering the herd. If we take a look at beef cow slaughter in 2016, one of the things that would highlight is that we culled more beef cows in 2016 than 2015. We sent more to market. Most of that occurred in the last 2/3 of the year. And so we had cow slaughter that was up over 13% year over year. Yet, if we took a look at the number that we culled versus the inventory that we have, it was a little over 8%. And historically, it takes culling rates or beef cow slaughter to be over 10% of the cow herd to really see a contraction going on. So while we did cull more cows, it was likely not enough to really cut into and reduce the cow herd based on the rate of growth that we already had. The other way we shrink the herd or change the rate of growth is by the rate at which we add young animals or heifers to the herd inventory. If we took a look at heifer slaughter last year, I've kind of circled in a green pen on this chart the growth in heifer slaughter. We slaughtered more than 4% more in 2016 than 2015, which is really indicative that we had more cows that had more calves. Half of those were heifers, and we sent more of those to market. We kept fewer of them. So really the heifer slaughter numbers, while larger, are likely not large enough to really show that we were really cutting into the herd. So if we take both cow slaughter and heifer slaughter, we take a look at those as a percent of the cow herd, it's likely not enough to really show a contraction in the herd. But I think it will show that a slowing rate of growth. So, but really with how herd dynamics work, it's most likely that the report's going to show an increase in the cow herd, an increase of I think about 2%, and so for 2017 we'll talk about another year of expanding cow numbers, more calves, and larger beef production in 2018 as those calves go to market. So I think that's something we'll be looking at very closely in USDA's report. I think one of the other things that's pretty important to look at will be the state-by-state breakdowns on the beef cow herd. We've had a pretty serious drought in 2016 in parts of the southeast, which really producers there send calves to the feedlots of the Panhandle and Northern Plains. So I think we really want to see the state breakdowns on the cow herd and see how seriously the drought has affected cow numbers there, as well as some expansion in other areas as we respond to record high prices of a couple years ago, and some continued drought recovery and ample grass supplies and better pasture conditions. So I think we'll be looking at both of those areas of the report, but really focusing on beef cow numbers for the coming year.